Good afternoon and welcome to my week's end ramblings. Last weekend, we had just a very simple Sunday morning, which was quite pleasant. I wasn't under any pressure or any challenges along the way. And then just after lunch, one of the parishioners came around who had been fortunate to have been a member of the uh, Royal Hobart Wine Show stewards panel, and she had with her some of the wines that had been recalled for a second evaluation to determine whether they were suitable for bigger prizes than just winning gold medals. So the awards haven't been announced yet. That'll be later this week. But I had a chance to taste some of the wines a couple of days after they'd been opened, but most of them were still pretty exceptional. So that was a very quiet but very pleasant Sunday afternoon, just chatting and having a sip of some quite wonderful wines. On Monday morning, we had a simple nativity small group. There's only two of us there, so we chatted about some of the things that were part of the weekend's message from nativity, but also just a couple of issues that pertain to us in Australia because we're both from our continent rather than the US. Later in the day, I had Mass at St. Aloysius and then my normal Monday communion round and came back to do some work on my homily for this coming week, or this weekend, tomorrow, in fact, that I hadn't been able to do because of the retreat last week. Tuesday morning, I headed off to the dentist first thing, and then I had made arrangements to see a family about a funeral, which was to be celebrated on Thursday. Sadly, it's the sister that was the last surviving member of that generation of a man whose funeral I'd done just 6 weeks ago. So that was a little bit different. Then on Tuesday evening, we had the wash up for the fair. Some confusion about the final amount raised, but hopefully we'll know that in the next day or so. Wednesday, we started with Wednesday morning mass, followed by a pastoral team meeting. And then I really got down and did quite a lot of work on my homily for this weekend, as well as having a look at some of the things that needed to go into the bulletin for this week. And then later in the afternoon, we had prayer and praise time, followed by a shared meal. A few people were missing, so it wasn't as large a group as normal, but it was still a very friendly and really lovely evening. Thursday morning, I settled down fairly early to work on my homily, and then I headed off to Graham's for a funeral at just after midday. On the way home from the funeral, I managed to do just a few little jobs in town before getting home, catching up with some more work on my homily before having an early night, which was really greatly appreciated. Friday was mass in the morning. And there was no school mass because during this past week, our school, at least the junior campus, had been closed because of an asbestos scare with sand that had been used as a play sand. The school will reopen on Monday, but it's been quiet this week, so there were no students for mass on Friday. Then I headed off with a couple of parishioners to Signet for a home mass. Normally, it would have been held at night time, but this week we had the mass at midday. And then from there, I headed back to catch up with one of the priests who had been doing a funeral at Kingston, and we spent a little time having a chat and coffee before I headed off to the grade 12 graduation formal, which was a pleasant night, loud and all those sort of things, but it was good just to catch up with the students and the teachers as they complete their journey through St. Aloysius College. Saturday morning, I did the recording for my homily. I managed that early. Then I headed up into the church to do some work in preparation for our live streaming of Mass tomorrow. Then on the supermarket run, and then I went off to visit the family of a near Norfolk parishioner, but someone whom I'd got pretty close to over the years, and her funeral will be next Thursday. So I saw the family today, and I'll look at doing some more work on that either later today or probably more likely tomorrow. We had Bruni preparation to get information to the things for Mass at Bruni tomorrow. I dropped those round to Father Graham so that he can do that tomorrow. And then we have I have this ramblings and some of the other recordings of my daily email still to complete this afternoon. There's no evening mass tonight because this weekend is the feast of Christ the King, and we use that as our parish feast day. So I will need to be up in the church shortly just to um, say hello to anyone who hasn't heard, has forgotten, and arrived for 6 o'clock mass tonight. So I'll just see what happens there, and we'll go from there. So that's the week. A bit messy, a bit ups and down, but that's how life is. And so we'll see how we go. Stay safe, keep spreading the good news, and as always, please do it with a smile because it confuses people if you're smiling at them.